Back in the year 4, there was a kindergarten class going on and everybody had to bring something from home to school, and Nikon Grokwood brought a little camera that he had just invented out of rocks and wood. And it didn't take very good photos. It was only 1 megapixel, but that's all you need in today's world as well. But then Canon Hammerstone also brought in a camera, and he killed Nikon, but Nikon lived on in our hearts, and now we compare Z6 III versus Canon C70 with the same lenses, speed boosted.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So right now we're on the Nikon Z6 III with a Fringer adapter, allowing the Canon EF 24mm 1.4 to bless our hearts. And this has a speed booster, which should make it almost full frame. We'll see the difference in size factor of the crop allowance. But also I'm wondering if this will remove 3D pop somehow, because there's a bunch of elements in here. We all know the more elements, the worse. There's probably 80 elements in here for all we know. So it's like, we'll go outside, test it with the 85mm 1.2, and a side test of, is that Nikon 50mm 1.4 more poppy than my Canon 85mm 1.2, because it's the most poppiest thing I've ever seen in my life. In my 50mm battle, I do believe the Nikon Z lens was the poppiest of all, even more than the Zeiss 55. I was like, what am I even seeing right now? That was wow. So for the 3 people on the internet wondering which camera to buy, the Z6 III or the C70, you could be debating those two. There's some things you're going to notice. When it comes to autofocus, Canon dual pixel much smoother, but way less reliable. I took this out with the 85mm and it was hunting in face only detect mode, whereas this, it might take a while to latch onto you, but once it does, it holds you dear tight and never lets you go. It's a hug from a grandmother. That's what Nikon autofocus is. Slow. She can't bake a cake like she used to. She needs your help. But like it gets there. But in general, the Nikon system is just so much better all around. It just has so much more. There's IBIS in there. So like you can handhold any prime. I can't do that on my Canon. It has digital stay, but it only works in some modes. You can't shoot RAW with it. A lot of things badly happen to you. Whereas the Nikon, like you have HD 240, you have HD 180 with a huge crop and no autofocus. There's no limits in here, 5% crop. That's not a limit. Your mom's limited. They both do 4K 120, but Canon doesn't crop. But Nikon does crop, but it lets you shoot RAW in any of those modes. So this, I can do 24p in RAW and I think 30 frames, but nothing else goes RAW, whereas you can do 4K to 6K any frame rate. 6K 60, 4K 120, 4K 24p, 60, just no HD RAW for some reason. That would have been fun. Screw you, Nike boy. Okay, let's switch to the Canon C70 and see. Pay attention to, is that light clipping? Is my face younger? Are we having the same field of view? And is there less 3D pop somehow? Okay, I see differences. It seems wider somehow. That should not ever happen. What we just did was speed boost. There should only be more crop, because I don't know what the actual crop factor is. There's no way to even know. But like it crops somewhat. This is a clear lie, but what we're seeing side by side, that was a Nikon. We're a Canon, same lens, and the lens matters in color science. You would think, oh, it's the camera. No, they both matter. So same lens, different colors. Which one is better? Red LUTs versus Canon RAW. Just using the C-Log 2 to Rec 709, Canon's official LUT, probably not even the best one. Now the major advantage that the Canon C70 has is its DGO sensor, which is reading 2 frames at the same time, shadows and highlights, combining them, and it has the most dynamic range ever known to man. I still will do this versus the ZVE1, see if it even competes with that, but it's supposed to have even more than that, even though it's a Super 35 sensor. That's bullshit. So like that lamp, I'm sure I could bring back the Nikon as well, but then what happens to the overall image? Bad things. So like when you expose for the face, lamps get clipped. They're not important. People move on. You're out of the battlefield. It's like, okay, some men get left behind. The lamp is one of them. You're not important here. And for some reason, the Nikon is just so much noisier. This is also RAW. There shouldn't be noise reduction happening, but I guess there probably is because I don't see noise ever in there. Beautiful Canon. So like Nikon is just, you kind of want that. Like I'll do it later, but I never do it later and I never plan to. I just want RAW for some reason because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to be a movie here and I think I need the gear. Really, I just need an idea to share with the world. So if I could only keep one of these cameras, it's really not even close. The Nikon is so much more versatile. This can be my wildlife thing. I tried the C70 with the wildlife, just looking at that screen, trying to judge focus, like it was a nightmare, but you can do it. It looked good. But like this with the 600mm prime, it's like, it's a joke how fun it is to use. Just so much more versatile. Slow motion street videography, no problem. This could be my only camera and I could survive. Whereas this, skin tones might be better. That's about it. More dynamic range, just a better image. But it's only 4K 24. What are you even gonna do? 85mm 1.2, back on the Nikon. I find this combo to be so reliable. The only reason I got the C70 was thinking, I have these Canon EF lenses that I love. What if I had a native Canon body? It would be the ultimate. They were born together. But unfortunately, the cripple hammer has visited a couple times. You're good. This is a mostly Canon episode. Canon lenses and the body. I bet you're going to win today, for sure. How come the C80 doesn't have a DGO sensor? There's not a lot of hammer dents in the C70. It's pretty good. I don't love the on-off switch. That's a dent. I don't know who does that, and it goes the wrong way. It should be up here always, but whatever. And your screen, there's been a lot of complaints on that flimsy. I see it. It's not terrible. It kind of snaps into place. It's not the worst thing, but it's a very glossy screen. You can't see a damn thing out in the sun. It's pointed, and I wish it tilted down a bit more this way, and then it could at least get the sun angle out, but I need a little hat for it. Then maybe you could see if you're in focus. I'm not a fan of Canon cinema menus. They're quite confusing. There's no like custom modes quickly switch from like 4K 120. Like in order to do that, I have to get out of RAW. I have to change a bunch of stuff, and diving in menus, it's not fun, whereas I can just set up custom modes with a left-handed dial. I can stab my finger in there like a caveman. But when it comes to autofocus, let me show you what Nikon does. Probably even see like that stuff. Ow. There's a lot of in-out. What the heck are we doing? So seeing that, you would think, oh, Canon has better. Well, I have to show you the Canon first, and I did say better. I'll leave. So now we're on Canon, and as you'll see, a little hesitance there. But as you'll notice, it's much more reliable, leading you to conclude that Canon has better autofocus. But as we'll see outside, most likely, I'll be gone here, and it'll be hunting, even though it's face only. Literally does not ever focus if there's not a face. But when I'm moving back, it's like, uh-oh, background, I saw a face, I swear. You saw nothing. But side by side with Nikon 85mm, who has the better skin tones, in my opinion, Canon color science is not accurate. If you want the most accurate colors, you get Sony. They're actually like quite accurate. It's just ugly. It's ugly accurate. Nobody needs accuracy. Like the color of acne is red. Sony's like, let's enhance red, up the red saturation. Whereas like Fuji, the new F-Log2C LUT is like dampens the reds. It's like, oh, thank you. But with the speed booster, has the tone been diminished? Is it worse? Is it different? Because Nikon, that adapter is just straight through. There's no glass added. So you're just getting what the Canon lens is, but I have my doubts. The speed booster might be making things more blurry or weird. Okay, let's go find a nature spot, do a little 3D pop test, and see how reliable or not the autofocus is. I feel like it has me now. Yeah, see, once it gets you, don't pay attention to that exposure. We're throwing that under the bus here. So Nikon with the 85mm NDs exposed perfectly, like always, because I have no idea what the zebras even mean on Nikon. Still to this day, I have no idea what the clipping point is in N-Log. Someone want to tell me? Because no, you're wrong. The 3D pop is real. Oh my god. So I've looked over the living room studio movie footage, and I've noticed Canon is beautiful. Wow. It's funny because if you were actually debating between these two cameras, the only reason you would choose the C70 is because you like the look more. And I just happen to, I tell you, there's something about it. I don't know if it's the highlight roll-off. It's just something is less harsh. The Nikon's more contrasty. Maybe I could grade it and like look side by side and like, okay, now it's matched perfectly and now I have all the features of a Nikon. But I don't know that that's possible. Some people can do it, I'm sure, but I bet you even a colorist pro would try it and then send me the footage and I'd be like, no, it's not even close. Somewhat close, but not close enough for my liking. So as you're seeing, Nikon gets you, does it not? Did it lose me back there? Probably not. Once it has you, you're family now. It's never gonna let you go. Whereas, oh man, even Sony can pulse sometimes. Canon's a nightmare. Fuji seems more reliable. So for me, like all these little, oh my god, your lights are pulsing, bro. Doesn't matter. Like I just want to turn the camera on, come out here in the perfectly exposed universe, and I picked the worst spot. There's all a nice creek there, but the hills, this allowed for some uphill action. Huh? You see? Ow. This is a true full frame, whereas the C70 is Super 35, even though I have a speed booster to almost replicate it. And yes, I realize when you shoot in RAW on the Canon, it goes to DCI 4K, which is actually wider, and then it gives you the little black bars on top. You can't even change that in RAW, so it has to be like that. That's why it was a little wider. Your mom's a little wider than she was last Halloween, I'll tell you that much. Let's switch to the Canon and see if there's less pop. Okay, now Canon has a trick up its sleeve. It can manually focus until it gets you. Then there's no more jumping in and like praying to ghosts that your shot's gonna be kept autofocus wise. So let's see what happens, Canny boy, because it could be because I stopped down. I noticed that on Canon, you stop down half a stop or a third, and it just like, oh my god, it starts pulsing, like it switches to Panasonic mode. Contrast, obviously. Panasonic's perfect nowadays, but come on now. So like I come out here, I can't trust you. Canon, not one bit of trust. Am I in the light? He's so lit right now. So like, what the hell's your problem? Dual pixel autofocus. You saw indoors, it was way more smooth. It was like, wow, look at that. It doesn't pulse, it doesn't second guess, it doesn't overshoot and then come back. Edvard made a good explanation where he was like, one eye is like contrast detect and you're trying to touch a tripod. I touched it the first time. Watch, I'll do it right now. I missed it. No. Shut up, Edvard, you're not right. So, is it getting us? Whereas phase detect was like two eyes seeing the depth and it's immediate, you touch. I could touch this thing. I got it. It was out of shot, no one's gonna believe me. Oh, damn it. That looks very overexposed, but whatever. So are we seeing a 3D pop difference? Let me get back out here into spot. Next to Nicky Boy, is he popping more? That's full frame, real full frame, and I'm just pretending to be. And all these elements in the speed booster, probably has like 6 elements in just the booster, adding to my element count, and that's bullshit. Although I don't know that there is an actual formula that you can just follow. Dirty Photography Club has come up with this whole thing where it's like 8 elements divided by 6 groups gives you this certain ratio, and if it's higher than like 1.27, it's likely to have pop, but then if you have too much ED glass, it's not going to. If it's more than 10% ED glass to the full elements, there's a lot of math, but I've noticed, like, I was gonna laugh at the Fuji 16mm 2.8 because it has no pop versus the 1.4, which does, but then the 1.4 has like 2 ED elements, and there was all this stuff that said on paper it shouldn't have any pop, but it has more pop. So I don't know about that whole formula, man. We gotta rewrite that thing. The autofocus. So has it hunted at all so far? Turning around, can I lose it? Going in and out of shade and out of sun. There's a lot of tree lines that cut me off at some point. Can I trust you, man, or not? Because it's such a beautiful image. This would be my camera out here. Go somewhere and then it's like the most dynamic range possible. But is it really? If you can't trust it. It has built-in NDs. We're not using them right now because I wanted to keep everything the same. Just ND actual on the lens. Let us switch now to Nikon 6K RAW with the 50mm 1.4, just to see if that's the poppiest of all of us. Because this was my poppiest lens until that thing came into my life. Staring directly into the sun is good for your eyes. Don't do it. All right, don't quote me on this shot. Before I switch to 6K, I just wanted to see. I put the Canon further away because that has the 85mm. Nicky Boy's on the 50 1.4. I feel like it's not even close to the same shot, but whatever, man. Come on, it could work. Is one popping more? Is that 50mm the most magical lens you ever seen in your life? Because I couldn't believe it. I was like, what am I seeing? It was like more pop than I'm even used to having. But like the 85? Come on. So like right now we're seeing this. If I was to switch it to the Nikon side by side with the 85mm 1.2, because that speed booster might be effing us, are we seeing it? More pop? Dare you dream that? Imagine that. And then it's native. And for you hobos who are daring to suggest that because inside I was using an adapted lens, that's why Nikon autofocus wasn't good enough. It's even worse with native, if anything, as we've seen. Fantastic Steinbeck lens, I tell you that much. I was wondering, if it was going to be good enough. It is, and more. Okay, last test, I just want to see the dynamic range. I'm going to point towards the sun, and then we see who has the true highlight recovery and shadow attention span. That's how you... Okay, we are about to learn nothing. That's all I know for sure. That's a guarantee right about now. Okay, you got me. We're very off-centered here. This is not well. I'm trying to not clip, but neither of them even came close to clipping. So what the hell are we... God, I don't know how to use any camera. That's the fact. When I set zebras up to 100%, I'm looking and I'm like, damn, that is blown out, but the zebras aren't there yet on either of them. God, until I take the ND off, they weren't even close. So like, what the hell? 6K, huh? Are you believing that? If we were to punch in, are you seeing these details? You seeing them? There's no noise. Shut up. It's not noisy. It's not a noisy sensor by design. You think because it's partially stacked that it has noise? That's your fault. Did we learn something there? Not believing we did. Who won today's battle, my friend? Was it Nicky Boy? It's the overall better camera. It's just, is that 10% better image quality really worth all the downsides? Where you got no IBIS, you think you have an ND advantage. There's some things, but I don't know, in general, it's Nicky Boy all the way. But like, I prefer the Canon, so it's crazy. I love having both. So, what do you think? Bitcoin can enter at this time, and I will be leaving now. After you subscribe for a minute, Sandy?